Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I'm chatting with Lori from Foto Vibe, and she's talking about not only her photo booth business, but how she transitioned into balloons and then found a new niche decorating boats. And I think this is going to be a potentially huge niche that I could move into in my town. So I'm really excited about this interview. I have so many ideas. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. Welcome to this episode, Lori. I'm so excited to chat with you because you not only do balloons, but we are talking about your photo booth business and some niches that you have discovered within the balloon business. So, welcome to the
Hey, thank
podcast. Go ahead
you.
and introduce yourself. Tell us where you are and what you do.
Okay, hi, I'm Lori Balsman and I own Foto Vibe. I'm based in Orange County, California, technically Costa Mesa, Newport Beach area. And we're really close to like the beaches and the coastline and the waters. And I service all of like LA, Orange County, San Diego. I'll go to Inland Empire, really just wherever the client is and wants to spend the money. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And so you were doing photo booths first and then started doing balloons?
Yes. So I was working a corporate job, a 9 to 5, kind of took a turn for the worse. And I really was looking at having something of a creative outlet. I'm more creative by nature. And so I started a photo booth company. I'd always been to weddings and different parties and was obsessed with the photo booths, but I always felt like, wow, it's kind of cheesy with the props and like the backdrops, or the photo quality was really dark.
Yeah.
um, or the graphics on the printouts were kind of cheesy. So I just in my mind started thinking like, oh my gosh, I could do this better. And I was driving one morning and I heard like a news ad on the radio stations about a photo booth, which was kind of like so weird.
Yeah.
And then I heard it a second time and I'm like, is this a sign? So I
Yeah.
kind of like wrote the information down. I followed up with that company. And then I ended up going and taking like doing like a meetup with them, and they
Okay.
walked me through like their booth and how it worked and their processes and like their suggestions on like the back end CRM systems to use.
So, like, were they selling to you or were they a
Yes.
competitor that you were just like, I'm learning everything so I can start
No,
my
they
own?
were
Oh,
like
okay.
a company that sold the booths set up and
Okay,
the whole.
cool.
So I looked into it and I kind of did the math and I was like, I think I can do this. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I pulled the trigger and I was working full time and doing that on the weekends because, as you know, event world is just pretty
Yeah.
much the weekends, but it was super fun. And I definitely didn't count on like all the additional items you need. So more backdrops, specialty props, like building the website. So I thought I'd have it paid off the first year, but it really took about 2 or 3 just because all the stuff I kept buying.
Sure. So
But
what
now it's,
can
pays for
can you tell
itself.
me like what kind of photo booth? Is it like one of those that like runs off an iPad? Is it like an actual box you go
Yeah,
inside? Like,
so the kind that I first bought, because I've moved on to a second style now, it's the open air photo booth.
okay.
So, you're not enclosed, it's all open, which allows for more guests to kind of fit into the framework of the picture. I think it's way more flexible just in the sense of like what you can do for the backdrop, because that was always like a big focus for me, is like
Right.
I felt like a pretty presentation was definitely attracting more people in, and then having more of unique and specialty props versus like feather boas and
Yeah. Yeah. So what are
red
some of your unique
glasses.
ones? Like, yeah, because those are
Um,
really corny. They're like glasses on a stick
yeah,
and
I
stuff
just
like
feel
that.
like you can go to Party City and buy that. So when I'd be out shopping or online, finding specialty things, some stuff that were really popular were these glasses that look like kaleidoscope. So you put them on, and I always called them the drunk glasses because
Oh,
it
okay.
was like 10 of something. But they looked beautiful in photos.
Okay.
And we did flower crowns. We did, well, we still do like specialty, like more unique, like different crowns, but it's like not necessarily little girl looking. It's kind of like could be all ages.
Yeah.
Like some faux flowers. There's just like kind of funny stuff. Like there's a visor that looks like a disco ball. So it's got
Okay.
like disco reflection on it and little fringe, and popsicles and ice creams. Like any type of food thing is so
Oh,
popular.
cute.
And it's just really cute to have like really fun, vibrant props in photos.
Yeah.
And people go crazy, and it's like the best feeling just seeing how happy people are and they're laughing. And that's really what kind of drew me into that world, because at the time, my corporate job, I was definitely not happy. And
Yeah.
it was just like, people are getting upset over not sending an email or like being late to a meeting. And you're just like,
Right.
oh God, is this the meaning of life here? So definitely shifting into that was like a really good feel good type of thing. And I
Yeah.
really attracted me into that. And so doing that, I learned to do balloons because I was like, hey, the balloons would be I kept seeing them in my area through Instagram and noticed more and more of it like becoming a trend. But
Hmm.
I think even more so like before the pandemic. So maybe like a year before the pandemic. So I took a course and I learned how to do it. And I bought all these balloons and all these colors, and they just kind of sat around, in my
Yeah.
garage. And I kept trying to like promote it and push it, but it just kind of wasn't really like people liked it. And I would sell it as an upgrade to the backdrop. But really, the balloons took off for me right during the pandemic because
Okay.
all sales for the photo booth closed or kind of put on pause, or people were kind of just like, they'd paid their deposit, they weren't asking for it back. They were just trying to like everyone just kind of sitting
Yeah.
still to see what was really going on. Um, and so, I tried to start pivoting where I started offering balloon garlands. And if people had paid for their photo booth, they weren't sure. I was like, hey, what about, we could offer this and drop it off for you. So a lot of people took me up on that.
Yeah.
And then I just saw an opportunity where I was like, hey, I can just like start pushing this. So I not only promoted it on my personal or on my business Instagram, but then I started pushing it personally. And that's where I think I really got traction, because then it was a lot of more friends that were like, oh my gosh, like it's my mom's birthday. I can't go over there. Can you go like set up on her patio?
Yeah. So, okay. So I was under the impression that from the photo booth, you started doing balloons and then the balloons went crazy, but it was kind of like photo booth and then you sort of did balloons, but it wasn't like your
Yeah.
bread and butter. And then because you had that different skill set over the pandemic, you were able to pivot. That's very cool.
Yeah. So that's it. I never ever thought it would launch it into this.
Yeah.
Like, so
So
it's,
then okay, fast forward through the pandemic, it was insane. It sucked,
yeah.
but actually it was good for balloons in my area. But how now are you juggling this booming balloon business and this photo business? Like do they cannibalize each other or how does that
Um,
work?
no, I'm definitely busier with the balloons. And so people know that I do the photo booth. And if they don't, we always like say, hey, we offer these other services, because now we also do party curation where we can kind of come in and party plan for you, or we can just do like the day of setup. If that's, I have some clients that hire us from everything to just like the day of, to just balloons. We do the marquees, we do custom backdrops. I just did a camp for this local charity called Rad Camp, and they're amazing. They do a week-long camp for kids with disabilities. And we set up the entire stage. So it was a circus theme. So it's like the raddest show. And so it was like the raddest camp. So we did this whole circus tent setup. It was awesome. We set it up for 2 weeks. So we like went back, broke it down, went back and set it up. And then we also do their photo booth for like their special like dance night. And so a lot of clients know we do both. And it's really nice because it's integrated. And then they can be like, well, okay, that's your like, backdrop that just comes standard with your booth, but like,
Yeah.
what else can you do? And so that's where
Are they
it's
all under different names or is it all under one
all
business?
under Photo Vibe.
Photo Vibe. Okay.
Just
Um
made it easy.
Interesting. Because I know there's a lot of balloon people that also have like a single photo booth and they'll offer that as a potential upgrade,
Mhm.
which is kind of the backwards model of what you did. Do you think that's a viable option, investment wise and time wise? Or would you
So
say if you're just doing balloons and making a living doing that, stick with that? Or do you think that
honestly,
it's
if
good
you're
to
making
have?
a living doing the balloons, stick with that. The
Okay,
photo
interesting.
is expensive. It's a lot of technical. You have to have staff or
Yeah.
other people because I've had two different style. I have three different styles of booth. I have a digital booth, which is the iPad, which is great, but the quality is honestly like it's good for a party,
Yeah.
but it's not something that you're going to use for marketing purposes or to, I don't know, frame your family reunion.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
then the other booth is the DSLR booth, which is the high grade camera. And that is great because you can set that to like super high quality photos. You get an online album where you can download everything. You can share it with your guests. They can, post it or whatnot. But it's a lot of technical, as I've learned over the years, and it's
Yeah.
frustrating at times. It is so stressful. I mean, going and setting up an event and there's all these things out of your control just for balloons.
Yeah.
Well, think of that with the technical aspect, like the camera won't turn on, or there's a plug missing, or you forgot the extra roll of paper and ribbon and you're an hour and a half away. Like, so
Yeah.
there's
Oh, I'm getting anxiety
all
just as you talk about
yeah,
this.
and
I'm
there's
like,
so
huh.
much stuff, but like I've done this so long now, it's going on 7.5 years. I have
Okay.
checklists for things. My team knows we have different bags associated with like the different booths. Um, and so I've had my equipment for, like 6 years now. And so this year we just got a new booth, which is a lot more portable. It's a lot easier. It doesn't take two people. We can do it with one person for the setup.
Okay.
So it's just like time blocking and allowing like to know like, what the event is, like what the backdrop is, and allowing like enough time for all that. But
Right.
I would say if you're
How
doing
long,
balloons, stick with it.
yeah, yeah. How long after doing it yourself were you able to hire out some of those responsibilities?
Um, I would say that like right when I kind of started the photo booth world, I quickly realized that I needed help
Yeah.
because the style of booth I bought, it looked like a giant iPhone and it was awesome because you can see yourself in the screen, but to carry it around, like I had to have a dolly, and in the beginning
Yeah.
I needed two people, and if you have stairs or any sort of incline, it just, you need help. So
Yeah.
I kind of always hired like part-time people to help. And
Hmm.
then from there, those part-time people have kind of just been with me for years. And
Yeah.
so I've trained them in the balloons, and I've trained them in, we're doing florals, and like just like I had an assistant for a year and she was great and had a really good eye for design. So it's just kind of all those different elements. But it's not easy. There's a lot
Yeah.
of, I see a lot of new booths out there and new people starting the business, and it's such a fun industry, but man, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. I feel like so I know I am not designed for this. I wouldn't want to stay at the party and like interact with people. I would be like, I'm freaking tired and
Yeah.
you're drunk and I can't handle this. So I am not the ideal person, but I do think it's an interesting way to diversify. Like you said, there's a lot of people where they're into the balloons and like now their husband wants to get involved or their son or daughter is old enough to kind of participate. I could see that being a really good way to kind of have another offering, maybe a high ticket offering that kind
Yeah.
of works with what you do. But like you said, you need the people, you need help.
You need help. And if you have like, gosh, your husband or a family member or brother that's super techy that could like keep up to date on all the software
Yeah.
and the linking system, because the printer and the camera and the computer and like keeping all those updates running, that's amazing. I pay like a monthly IT person,
Oh,
but even
okay.
then it's not, you're on a job and it's not working and you don't have Wi-Fi, so they can't really help. So then you're
Right.
going on the phone and it's music pumping in the background, you can't hear. There's just like always something. So we have like a manual of like a checklist for the girls that work with me to like go through first to like kind of like, I don't know, like check
Yeah.
everything before.
Troubleshoot themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
troubleshooting. Yeah. But even then it's stressful. I've really only had like out of the last 6 years, 7 years, like one or two events where it was like we just couldn't
Oh my
like
gosh, really?
it
Yeah.
was
I mean,
like
what are you going to
an
do?
outside event. They said the electricity was there, but it wasn't. So it
Oh,
didn't work. And then another one, it shorted. The electricity kept shorting because it was like a DJ and us.
yeah. Oh, well, then
And
that's not even your fault. That's just
right,
like
that
the
wasn't our
venue.
fault. But yeah. it was stressful on New Year's this year because we had an event and there was torrential downpour this in California for months and months. And so we're trying to move this photo booth from our van into the person's garage setup. And it was just like so much rain, and we're covering it with blankets, and we get it there and we're literally 2 hours early, and it just would not turn on.
Mm,
And it would turn on and it would work for like 2 photos, and then it would go dark again. And it was so stressful. I had to leave. I had to go get our second booth. I had
oh
to,
gosh.
and it just, you don't feel good about that. And
Yeah.
so, you just kind of have to make it up. We always, if we don't start on time, then we stay extra in the back end of it. But
Yeah.
it costs money for me because I'm paying the team.
Right. Right.
But
Well, and so you mentioned before we started recording that we have a lot that I want to talk about. First, before we talk about your niche that you've discovered within balloons,
yes.
let's just chat really quick about 17 hats. This doesn't need to turn into a 17 hats commercial. Everyone already knows I love them, but you've been using them for a long time,
Yeah.
and
So
you
when
use it to manage all of your businesses.
everything. So
Okay.
the photo booth, florals, the Duffy sales that we do for the Duffy decoration, the party planning, quotes. I mean, I honestly could not function without this. I
No,
have so
same.
much
Yeah.
on my plate. And honestly, like when I started the photo booth business, they suggested using 17's hats. That's the like CRM system. I didn't even know what CRM was. I didn't understand
Yeah.
it. But they're like, this is how you can invoice clients. And so it was great because I could send a quote. A lot of people are, they're like, I want it for 3 hours. And I was like, okay, we offer a 2 hour package or a 4 hour. So if you want a third hour, it's X amount additional hours. So then they'd usually just bump up to the 4 hour package.
Sure.
But they would see that in the quotes, and then, sending an invoice and then paying with credit card was so easy.
Yeah.
And then really I found your podcast and I heard you talking about 17 hats years ago. And I was like, this chick does 17 hats too. Like I had never known anyone
Yeah,
else.
it's really fun when you start connecting with other people that use it. You can
Yeah.
find workarounds, and you have people to chat with about like, well, how do you structure this, and how does your auto reminder go out,
Oh
and
my
like it
gosh, the
makes it even
automated
more.
emails, like for the inquiries, have been life-saving. The reminders for like grab and goes, like, oh, hey, your Duffy boat's scheduled for tomorrow. Here's the details. Just so like, it's so life-saving because, just giving people information is really what they want. And as life happens, you're so busy. And this just really is like that assistant that you didn't even know you
Right.
needed.
Right. Well, and I would imagine with you, it's really important because you have like different areas within your same business. Like for me, it's all balloons, but for you,
Right.
it's like all these different things. I would imagine workflows and stuff. Like you have to be a pro. But you've mentioned this twice, so I want to talk about it.
Huh?
What are Duffy boats? This is the niche that
Oh
you
my
have
gosh.
found it.
Okay,
Like I
so Duffy boats. We're in California and we have harbors. So it's very mellow areas. So Duffy is an electric boat. They're like
okay.
a plug-in boat. And then you can rent them, gosh, anywhere. We service Long Beach, we service Huntington Beach, we service Newport Beach, even down further Dana Point, San Diego, all these harbors in the coastal areas have Duffy boats, and they're really fun. They took off during the pandemic because people could be on them outside with their family.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so they're covered, and they seat anywhere from like, I don't know, 4 to 12 people, um,
Okay.
depending on the length.
I have to
And
look them up right now. I can't even like,
yeah, they're super chill. It's super fun. People take them out for every type of celebration. You can rent them for like a 2 hour to 4 hour period, just depending on where you can find them.
okay.
And so I have a girlfriend that owns a Duffy company in Newport Beach. And so she was like, hey, I'm getting a lot of requests for people wanting like decorations. Can you do something? And I was like,
Yeah.
sure. So we started doing the balloons, and the fact that the balloons obviously that we use are super high quality and they're, biodegradable and recyclable. I felt really good about using them on the water. And so the way that we assemble them for the Duffies is on a high gauge fishing line so that
Okay.
they're really durable and strong and they're connected. I don't use the 5 inchers on any of the Duffy garlands just because those tend to kind of maybe fall off.
Okay.
So it's very specific in the way we assemble them, and there's no mylars and no foils because those aren't allowed on the water here. And so we also customize them. So on like, say, one of the larger 24 to 36-inch size balloons, we can customize it to say, happy 21st birthday, Sarah. And people will go over the moon for that. So it's really
Interesting.
fun. And that's like an add-on. We've done tassels made of like more of the plastic material so that they withstand like the wind, and those look super cute.
So, right. So they're not like tissue paper, like
Right.
disintegrating in the
Yeah.
water. Okay.
Right. And then we started just doing like balloons, and then we kind of got into doing like the table decor on the inside.
Okay.
So those are different packages. We offer like Duffy Concierge, where we could like pick up the ice for you, or we can go and pick up your prepaid food for you within so many miles of
So
like
that's
the
like a whole nother business.
yeah. So we're really busy with that. It dies down in like the colder months, and then
Okay.
like in like the rainy season, obviously, but like then like summer and spring is just super busy because people do anniversaries, they do birthdays, bachelorettes. I mean, I've gotten the gamut of like any type of event, a lot of like kids' birthdays, adult birthdays.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's
Interesting.
really,
Well, we have, I mean, I'm in a resort town. We have tons of boats. Like we're on a lake. They're not
oh my,
these Duffy boats, but like
we do other boats
it's kind
too.
of an interesting niche to
Yeah,
focus
yachts.
in on.
Yeah, it is because it's not people want to celebrate when they're going on these boats with friends. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've rented the Duffy boats many times or other boats, and it's like such a schlep to like get all your stuff,
Yeah.
and like bring it there and like get there early. And then you're like running late because of parking. So we just kind of handle all that for you. So I mean,
Yeah.
you pay a service fee, you're going to pay a
Well,
premium.
right. Yeah.
Like you can just literally, like, we just say, like, you just show up, you
That's
know?
amazing.
Yeah.
So
So
you built out like its own little website for this service.
yeah, so I was getting hit up so much on our Duffy package, like on the pricing for it. And so I was so tired of like copy pasting from my notes. And this was a couple years ago. So it was like even more. And then like Instagram's changed where you can save replies. So I
Right.
have all that, but at the time it wasn't an option. And then I just stayed up super late, like for like a week, building out like little mini microsites at like 2, 3 in the morning of like, okay, here's the packages, here's what you can get, here's the add-ons. And then I don't have those prices listed on my site, but you email with your inquiry and then you get like a response and you can get the link, to see
Okay.
it. So, and it just makes it super easy. I use your color chart that
Oh
did. And so I bought that and I have that color chart updated with all of our offerings, and we, offer all that. So
yeah.
it's
So
been
then how like what is the touch point situation? Like is it intensive or is it like you never talk to them? Like what's the range of this booking process?
Usually it's just literally automated emails, and they'll get like the link, they'll click on it and they'll say, okay, we want package 2, Lori, and we want to do happy 45th birthday, Rob. And I want dark blue, pale blue, and chrome silver.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, just so you know, our chromes are additional $25. No problem. That's what I want. I'm like, or
Yeah.
you can put out and do a white, or whatever it is. And they're like, okay. So it's maybe like 2 emails back and forth. Usually not, because Nicole has built out all my questions for me on my form. So they're all right there of like everything I need to know. Occasionally some people, will change or they want to add on something. But it's really easy.
Yeah, I have okay, so this weekend I am delivering, I have my marquee numbers, right? Like the light up ones, and they just wanted like a little garland on it. But they have rented a boat. We have like a marina and they've rented a boat that will come to their home. Like they have a house on the lake, so they'll bring the boat to their dock
You
and then
should
they're
tell
going to
me to
bring
decorate their boat.
but well that's what I'm doing. That's what the numbers are for. And I'm just like in my head thinking like if I get pictures of the light up numbers on this specific boat that you can rent if you're in
Yeah.
my town with the balloons, I could turn that into a little package and either do it for them or like they're going to just carry the numbers on when they're ready and just stick them. It's like freestanding.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a really interesting angle to kind of make that rental option available. Cause I think people feel comfortable anytime you've done something that maybe they haven't. Like oh,
Yeah.
I've decorated this venue, or I've done these boats before. I
Yeah.
think you
You can show
provide,
them photos, then they're like, "Ugh." And
oh my
that's the
gosh, I need to do this. This is
the whole packaging thing that we do is we show the photos. Here's package one, here's package two, here's package three. And then we show additional photos of like, if you wanted to, we have like just the balloons, or we have what we call party vibes package. So
okay.
depending on how many guests you have is the price. And that would include like inside decorations. So like a table runner, and then the plates and the cups and the
Yeah.
napkins and like the whole thing. And then we include like flowers with it. And then decorations like overhead tassels. So everything's like attached to the boat. And
Yeah.
just have to really make sure that it's compliable with like the different water like regulations. But
Right.
we just stay on top of that. But people love the convenience, and it looks so pretty when you're walking up, and then they're driving around, they're cruising in the harbor, and the
Yeah.
boat's all decorated and people are like waving because it looks so
That
fun.
is really cool. And now I'm thinking out loud, this woman, this is so funny. If I had not talked to you, I never would have connected the dots on this. She actually told me, she's like, well, I have to go, I'm delivering at 9 just because like that's my schedule in the morning, but they're not going to go out onto their little boat cruise until later in the day, which is why they're putting them on the boat themselves. But she told me, she's like, you could also go to the marina. They said that they would keep them in their little boathouse and they would put them on the boat closer to the party if you prefer. And I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm coming to your house to decorate anyway. Why don't I just drop them with you? But now I'm wondering if there's also a conversation with the marina to be like, is this a package you guys would want to sell? And I'll just deliver it to you every time and you guys put it on the boat. Like
I
if it's
think
a
that's an
freestanding
awesome
thing.
idea, Sarah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I reached out to the local Duffy businesses, and
Yeah.
there's, a good two handfuls of that type of rental, and some of them don't allow any outside decorations from any
Okay.
vendors. So, I know who those people are, and then I have my handful of the ones that do, and then it's gotten to the point where it's like become so popular, everybody wants a piece of the pie. So then, I've had to implement service fees because they want to get paid too.
Yeah.
So we've worked partnerships with them, and that's okay. It just maybe sometimes weed out people that don't have as big of a budget that would like to, but then that's where I offer our grab and goes. If you want
Right.
to do it yourselves, they can come get their grab and go, and they can self-install the balloon.
Right. Well,
So
I'm thinking if they were the ones who sold the package at an upgrade and they
mhm.
take whatever they want and then or some sort of deal where it's like
Yeah.
everyone's benefiting. Man, I totally think there's a market here for that. I think there's a lot of people that are listening that live in communities with lakes or boats or something.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
kind of
thought
like
of
you're always just thinking home and like venues, but like boats
right.
should
This is
be
essentially the
decorated.
same model as being a preferred venue or preferred vendor at a venue, but you'd be a preferred vendor on boats. It's so
Yeah.
smart. Like I
I think you
totally
just need
feel.
to, do some trial and errors
Mhm.
because you don't want the balloons falling off. I've seen some bad videos
Oh my
uh,
gosh, there's that one where the guy is just like blatantly popping them
into the
into the
water.
water. It's like,
I've seen some where like they've unraveled, not from us, but I don't know who it was, and they're just literally falling off. There is a vendor, a boat rental company we used to work with. We did a lot of business. They got greedy. They were like asking for this huge percentage from us. And I just said, no, I can't
yeah,
do that. And so then they started doing them themselves, and I've seen it, and it's like, oh,
yeah. But that's
but
another reason why you can kind of brag about your education and like the way I do them is secure. The balloons I use are
yeah,
strong. Like this, you're not going to have as good of luck if you go to the dollar store and use little thin
yeah.
cheapo balloons, but
Right, that are
that's
gonna pop because you're outside. It's sunny,
yeah.
You gotta know, like, you can't really put black out there in the middle of
Yeah.
summer.
Well, and the beauty of what I think is like you're decorating the same space over and over. So once you know what looks good, the install isn't
Yeah,
hard. Like
it's
what to
literally like
attach it
the
to.
biggest question we have from clients is like, well, is it going to be set up before we get there? And I always tell them, yes, we arrive 15 to 20 minutes prior to your reservation time. Now,
Mhm.
granted, sometimes the boats are running late, like the boat staff, like cleaning or whatever, or people come back late. So we can't control that, but we're there in time. And it literally takes us anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes for
And
setup.
what is it? So what do you do? You said garlands, but like do you like decorate like the front of the boat or like is it
So I wish I had
freestanding?
a picture, but I could always
We can
text
go to
you.
your Instagram and
Yeah,
find
you
awesome.
can
What
go to
is,
my Instagram, look at the feed.
and it's Foto Vibe?
It's Foto Vibe Party.
Okay.
And photo is with an F, so I
Okay.
know it's confusing, for fun. And then yeah, go to the website or even my website and see photovibeparty.com. But we decorate the side of the boat. So we say it's the dock side of the boat because that's the side we can actually access.
Okay.
And it's along the railing of the front of the boat under the canvas cover. We attach it really strongly. And then if it's inside, we attach to like the railing. It just depends on the package. Sometimes we do a cluster in the corner so that it's out of the driver's view. Like all the things have kind of been thought through and kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
worked out with the owners of the boat company, and it just works. And it makes, because think when you're inside a boat, you're taking pictures not only of like what you're seeing, but also, you know, your family or friends. And so when you have this beautiful cluster over your, say, your back corner, and maybe it's branded with like birthday girl or happy
Yeah.
anniversary or whatever, it just makes really cute, you know?
Yeah.
So
Oh, I love it because I've done a boat a couple of times. And the first time I was like, never again. And then I did it one other time because I ignore my own rules. But it was hot. The parking was hard, lugging all that stuff in. And then what
yeah,
they ordered was just like way too big, like literally hit the ceiling of the boat. Like we have boats here that are kind of they look like these Duffy boats. They're a little bigger and they're almost like double decker. So we do like
okay.
tours. And so there's like a ceiling on the
Yeah,
first floor and
and they're
all the
low.
helium balloons like hit the ceiling. So then I had to like redo it and like everything was short and squatty. It was, and it sucked. But I think if I figured out where to park and where the balloon's going to go and what time to be there and like really worked out all of that with the actual marina and then knew exactly what to put on the boat, yeah, like problem solved. That would
Yeah,
be
and you could just
such a
offer
service.
packages, like here's a package with this, here's a package, and you can like tell clients like, well, that's actually not going to fit because, you know, in your experience, like you become this like expertise in it. Like,
Yeah. Or like those balloons aren't allowed. Like they're not going to let you bring those
right.
on. Like you can order them, but like you're not going to bring them on your boat. So
Yeah.
we're not going to do that. That's really smart. I love that.
So yeah, it's
Very
been really
cool.
fun. And, you know, we've kind of adjusted as the years have gone on, and, you know, kind of like know how much time to allow for parking, and like, you know,
Yeah.
much time to get from point A to point B. And so you know, stuff always happens, things always change, but it's like, it's just fun. And we've got really good partnerships with the people we work with now. And so the big thing now that's been happening with the Duffy boats are people are doing like colored Duffy boats. So there's like the pink Duffy boats, which are super cute.
Okay.
And
Oh my gosh,
so
I feel like I need to start a Duffy boat company after this
I
conversation. I'm like,
know.
these would be so popular on my little touristy lake. Like we have all these bachelorette parties, we have
Yeah.
all these things, but oh my gosh, that sounds so fun.
Yeah. So we also do yachts too, because there's a lot of like bigger boats out here. So it
Yeah.
just depends. Like, I mean, you know, can kind of balloon anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's very true to kind of all of our businesses too, how it's like you started with the photos, which kind of led to the balloons, which then you kind of discovered this niche with the Duffy boats. Like I feel like that is kind of the nature of this industry, is like you're always kind of discovering these little niches and filling them. Or sometimes, you know, you go for it and it doesn't work, but it's just kind of
Yeah.
trial and error. And none of it's too far out of the realm of like parties, but I think when you can find that unique offering, that's where all of a sudden it feels really easy and there's a demand and you're kind of the one to provide the service. So that's really cool.
And it's so true what they say, like you sell what you post, you
Yeah.
know? So the more photos you have, the more you show it, you know, people are like, oh, wow. Like, you know, I mean, we don't only do, you know, boats, we also do balloons and the backdrops. And so the panel backdrops are huge for us as
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
where we can customize those with, you know, future misses, you know, whatever your birth date or whatever the client wants for their celebration, and you know, adding the balloons to it. So we do that a lot. That's kind
Yeah.
of a lot of what we're
So
doing
then
on.
it sounds like you have a lot of stuff. Like what is your home-based business slash warehouse situation? Like what,
Yeah,
where are you
I'm
actually
home
located?
based. I had a storage unit
Okay.
for a long time, and they just kept raising the price on it. I
Hmm.
mean, it got to the point where I was like, this, it was like $600 a month. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I cannot.
You're like,
So
I could almost rent an office.
yeah. So I had moved last year from a smaller place to a bigger home. And so I have like a bigger 2-car garage now, which obviously I use that as my studio. And then when I closed the account for the storage unit, I bought an outside like shed, like a
Okay.
10 by 10. And I hired some guys to come and assemble it for me. And like it's aesthetically pleasing. So it's not some weird eyesore in the
Yeah.
yard. So I put that, and I can't tell you, like, it is so convenient, like to walk out. I needed the cooler the other day for transporting some grazing boxes and a cake for a client. And that was just like right here. I didn't have to like drive down the street and wait for it to be open and punch in the code and like
Yeah.
roll
I
up the
know. I
door.
really
And
like being home based too.
yeah,
Even if I had a space, I feel like I would still bring stuff back here just because I'm
yeah.
lazy. I don't know. I know some people really love that separation, but I like home based. I think it works really well for me.
Well, it works for me. I have 2 young kids, so it's just really convenient to be able to, if they're napping or,
Yes.
it's the weekend and I can kind of get them settled and they're playing. I can be in the garage and kind of take care of stuff. And
Right.
so,
Right. It is so hard with kids. It is just, we talked about this a little bit before we started. It is just like
yeah.
next level. I only have one and it is so hard. Like you have two. Just juggling it all, especially with
Oh,
those
yeah.
weekends. Like it's so
There's
hard. And before they're in school full days, it's just like, what are other people doing? Share your secrets. Cause I'm
So
just like, this
I
is
have
so
both my
hard.
kids in preschool during the week, Monday through Friday. They're in
Mhm.
preschool. So that gives me like a window span, of like 5 hours or something to get everything done. I have one girl that comes on a Thursday, pretty much a full day for me. And so we do a lot of prep work on those
Okay.
days. If we have events or installs or setups or anything like really big happening that week, then a couple of the girls can come in during the week. We had a huge event last week on Tuesday where we had to go up to Los Angeles and we set up this beauty conference. And we left at 5:30 in the morning,
Oh gosh.
be up there and setting up at 7 a.m. We were done by 9:30. It was great, but like I had to figure out like a sitter to be at my house at like 5 a.m. So there was somebody here for my kids and just, it's a lot of late nights. And there's some days where you're like, is this worth it? And
Yeah.
then you get those projects or those jobs or those clients and they're so thankful and grateful, or you get like such a high off of feeling so accomplished. And
Absolutely. You're like, I did that. You look back at the pictures. You're like, that looks like I actually know what I'm doing. Like that's professional. And I did that.
yeah, it's really fun. I love it. I know this is where I'm supposed to be. So
That's
it's really fun.
awesome. Well, oh my gosh, I am so inspired. I have all these notes that I'm just gonna go and I know exactly who I'm gonna email. I'm so excited to try
Well,
to set
I'm
up a
so
partnership.
inspired by you and listening to your podcast for years. Just, everything that you've talked about, I try to implement, I look into, and it's just really helped. I mean, I've recently set up an S Corp, and that's been a whole whirlwind, and then doing payroll. But like, I think you give really good business advice and good business tips. And I like that you can laugh at yourself. Um, and it's been really helpful,
Thank you.
finding
I appreciate it. It's so weird to hear you say years, but yeah, it has been years that the podcast is going. I still feel like I'm figuring it out, but no, I love it because I learn just as much from these interviews as I'm able to share. So thank you so much. Thank you for
yeah,
your
of
time.
course.
And tell us again, where can we go look at your work and your boats? It's
Yeah.
Foto Vibe.
Instagram it's at Foto Vibe Party,
Okay,
and photo is with an F, so
perfect.
FOTO. And then also the website is photovibeparty.com.
All right. Well, I can't wait to go stalk all of your photos. I'm so
Oh,
excited to implement what you
awesome.
just chatted about.
Cool. Well, thanks, Sarah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.